doesn't care about human rights, civil rights, women's rights, or any rights, except rights on red. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on a mandate. You get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Chris Maxipata?
Absolutely. Hey, Adam, how's it going?
Good. Chris is sitting in. We'll have the gang back in the studio on tomorrow's show, but today we got Chris. We're doing it a little bit out of order today, so Chris is going to start off in the first segment with the news. First, soccer. Ugh.
Yeah. Right now, as we speak,
yes,
USA is playing Iran.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. They scored a goal. So
yeah,
USA tied their first game, tied their second game, and it was 1-1, and then I think the next one was 0-0. It's why I don't care for soccer. But the real reason I don't care for it is too many other people care about it. And I walked into one shop and I was like, where is Sean? Sean was sitting on a sofa in front of the TV set watching it. Explain to me, don't worry, he's not on the clock. But then there's a gaggle of employees sitting in the back now watching. Look, here's the bottom line in Los Angeles. This town runs off of soccer fans because... the white chick who's in the cubicle, we don't really need her. The guys that are putting the wood together, putting the metal together, taking care of the grounds, keeping the city running.
We need their bodies.
We need their bodies in motion, and they're all big soccer fans. They're all huge soccer fans. So they should just play the World Cup on a Sunday. Or schedule the United States games for Saturdays and Sundays. But anyway.
It is fascinating just how intrigued everybody is with the World Cup, especially here. And like people are going to bars at the crack of dawn.
Yes. And I vacillate, which is a word that no one uses anymore. But I'm sort of in between. Shouldn't we do something to get this game going a little bit so we could have some 4-3 scores and some 5-7 scores versus the U.S., which is 0 and then 1? In 3 games, they've scored 2 goals. They average less than 3/4 of a goal a game. Now, that's boring. On the other hand, it does kind of get to the length and foreplay part of life, which I am a fan of. So I can't tell, should they implement rules to speed it up and to get more scoring, or is it this? Is it the slow play that
You're such an American.
We want it, but when you go to a barbecue joint in Austin and it's really popular and you stand in line for 45 minutes and then you sit down finally and then you wait, the ribs are a little bit better because of the wait and the foreplay versus, Uber Eats drops them off at the hotel.
Yeah, the anticipation is part of the meal.
Yeah, all right. But anyway.
Look, I mean, the whole world, is the whole world complaining about that, or is it just us? That just wants to see higher scores.
I don't know. It's probably ugly Americans. And then also, it does tend to this thing we don't like, this kind of nationalism that we say we don't like. That's all soccer is. It's a bunch of people draped in whatever flag, their country, and going hard. Like in the NFL, there'll be a lot of people that live in Los Angeles but don't root for the Rams because they come from the Pittsburgh area. Even though they left when they were 9, they're still big Steelers fans, blah, blah, blah. It goes on all over the place. Nobody I watch football with on a Sunday roots for the Rams except for me. Now, they've all lived in Los Angeles collectively for 121 years, but they're still all rooting for the team of their childhood. Yeah. I don't know. Everyone wearing their flag draped on them. I know we kind of applaud it, but isn't that what we discourage? I thought we're all just taking a village and in a melting pot. And is it the I don't like the division. I don't like in this country when they're like the gay community and the African American community, or as a Latinx. I don't like any of that shit because I think it just sections off everyone in groups. This is like once every 4 years we just divide the world into their own warring tribes.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like it. I like everybody kind of cheering their team on.
Does
cheering
the
their country
Filipino
on.
team, do they suck?
Yeah.
Figures.
Our sports teams aren't awesome.
Yeah.
But I enjoy the pride and how, especially in America, everyone's coming together to watch these teams. I know as an employer, it's probably annoying,
not a fan.
but as an American citizen, it's kind of fun seeing everybody
right.
cheer everybody on.
All right. Have it your way.
Thank you.
What stories you got?
All right, let's kick it off with Howard Stern. He was this morning. He was on his he does a serious show, and he went after somebody that I didn't think he would go after, Oprah.
He didn't like her opulence.
That's her lack of self-awareness. Yeah, so he doesn't like how Oprah has been flaunting her wealth on social media. She's quote, Oprah's not embarrassed by her wealth at all. She loves showing it off. It's mind-blowing when you follow her on Instagram. You see her estates, her gardens, the people who service her, the people cooking.
Far be it from me to defend Oprah.
Oh.
But this, we do this thing a lot where we go, these people are living this life, and there's a lot of people out there struggling. I reject that wholeheartedly. It's a shit message. I don't like it. I don't like it when they say, I'm confounded, but mostly angry when they're like, these guys make this much through doing their stock trades, and if they could just pay a little back in taxes, then other people could live in dignity. You getting free shit from the government is living in dignity? That's the most indignant anyone could live. You getting free food, handouts, lunches for your kids, government cheese, or a check in San Francisco because you're trans something. That's not dignity. Yeah. That's you relying on the government to give you shit. I mean, if you were a ne'er-do-well stepson living at home at 24 and your stepdad said, I'll give you a stipend of $1,300 a month, you don't have to get a job. Would that be you living in dignity? That's called fucking freeloading.
Yeah.
So this thing where it's like some people have stuff and they have stuff and the other people don't have stuff because the other people have too much stuff, I reject. But, I stumbled onto this almost 25 years ago. Because I spot all the trends 2 decades before they come down the pike.
Yeah.
I was famous on Loveline for saying I'm a millionaire. Literally a millionaire. I used to say it all the time. And I would say literally a millionaire.
Yeah.
And because I knew people were kind of running away from their success at the time, my net worth was probably $1 million, so I could say a millionaire. Yeah. But I kept saying it because I was like, why are all you pussies running away from your success? You got here because you worked hard. I get it if your dad owns the company and he kind of kicks it down to you and you're kind of the, Henry Ford II or something, and you're not exactly Henry Ford or Edsel Ford or whoever, and it's really Henry that did all the work, and I get the optics of that. But if you're Oprah or you're Howard Stern or you're whomever, started off with nothing, fucking own it, and then make yourself an example to anyone watching or listening.
Yeah, you're showing off the American dream right there.
And then in terms of optics, it's like, well, who's working the optics puppet here? The person that is living that life or the person that has the money and is pretending not to live that life?
Right, yeah, who's really lacking the self-awareness?
Yes. So also, the notion, I never really got it either. There was always that notion of like, well, if people find out how much money you get paid, they won't like you. That was always the radio thing.
That's not even just a radio thing. That's just a life thing. Like, money is such a weird thing to talk about.
Yes.
Just even just with your friends. Like, it's hard to just find out what everybody's making. Everybody's kind of weird about it.
Well, there used to be weird about it because people didn't make that much money and they were kind of embarrassed. Now they make too much money and they're always, I cannot tell you how many rich people or very upper middle class people degrade their childhood into, we were middle class, or lower, middle class, growing up in Brentwood in a 7-story house with an elevator, but we were real middle class. Like they downgrade, and then the people who were actually lower middle class, they then do I had to sleep in my car. That's their narrative. Yeah. And there's a race to the bottom from a storytelling standpoint, but financially, these people got their hustle on all day and they're trying to make as much money as humanly possible.
Yeah.
My thing is you do not help people by giving them the narrative that there's this limited amount of money, a finite amount of money, and the reason we don't have as much as we could is because Oprah has hogged it all. It's not that. She works her ass off and she's figured out a way to do it. And I think her thing is, here's my lifestyle. Not here's how rich I am, although you could do the math. I'd like to inspire you with my lifestyle.
Yeah. It's really primitive thinking on our part. And also, like, I don't know why, but it's just ingrained in me whenever anybody asks me, where'd you get that? How much was it? I always say I got it on sale, even if I didn't. Like, I always undercut it. It's just a weird, natural thing, which I think we just got to stop doing.
That being said, Oprah, for somebody who has amassed the wealth and the following that she's amassed, when you really sit down and listen to her, not that much coming out. I mean, I always find that kind of interesting. Like when they go, this guy or this girl has 700 billion followers on Instagram or whatever. At some point, I'll always go, let me check out their rap. Like, what are they saying? And you watch it and you're always like, eh.
Yeah.
Or like when someone goes, this is the #1 podcast in the universe. And then you go, all right, I'm going to give it a listen. You go, not that funny, like not that interesting. Like,
hello, new listeners.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting that you'd think that Oprah was like really saying something. She doesn't really say anything for somebody who says things all day and has this kind of following.
Yeah, fortunately, it didn't really click with me growing up. Maybe even my generation. But it is really trendy to like her. And
yes, I get it. She's a success story.
Yeah.
Stern's a success story. Fine. Let's not send the optics message.
Yeah, it's weird that Howard is saying that. And I mean,
he's got
made
more money than God.
Money,
and good for him.
Yeah.
He's played it right.
Yeah, he's a man of the people.
But own it. That's all I'm saying. When I used to do Loveline on K-Rock, I would constantly have periodically have these discussions with my program director, and he would say, stop talking about flying first class. And I would say, why? And he'd say, because your listeners are like 16-year-olds from Orange County, and they don't fly first class. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm the host. I fly first class. And by the way, when I pay for my own ticket, I almost never fly first class. It would be Letterman flying you out to New York or something, Jenny Jones to Chicago or something like that. They give you a first class ticket. I said, but that's my life. I mean, that's what happens. And he's like, yeah, but you got to identify.
It's related.
And my thing is like, well, then let them host the fucking show. Like, why do I need to be one of them? Why? I'm the host.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be different than them.
Right.
I'm not supposed to be them. That's
why they're listening.
That's why they're
right?
listening to me. I'm not them. But that was it's been around for a long time, is what I'm saying. It's always you could see it, like if you would watch like Letterman back in the day, and Letterman had a $28 million a year contract in 2001, and some guest would come on and they'd go, the talking point would be, you just bought yourself a $8,000 Porsche mountain bike. And then at some point the guy would go, yeah, it's a great bike. You should do it, Dave. And he'd go, oh, too rich for my blood. Really? You made $8,000 in the time you asked about the mountain bike.
Yeah.
It's always kind of tamp it down. I grew up in lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Cribs.
Robin Leach. I love that era. It's aspirational.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Howard said that you got to be a little self-aware. You got to think about the people who don't have, stuff to eat, and just you got to be aware of that. Yeah,
No, you don't. Well,
you can make that argument against anything, right? Like
you can. Thinking about people that don't have shit doesn't help them. If you want to do something, I mean, if there's a call to action, like, look, Oprah, you got a place in Maui, and you got to. But by the way, she does enough for the indigenous kids of the tribes in Africa and their school and all that stuff. So it's done enough. But if the call to action is sell the place in Montecito and give the money to an orphanage, then that's something. Just sort of thinking about poor people, not really helping poor people. Although. Maybe that was the problem when I was growing up. Maybe Robin Leach wasn't thinking. Maybe Morgan Fairchild wasn't thinking enough about the Carollas and what they could do. I have to ponder that.
Yeah, think about that. Also, I was lucky enough to fly private with you to the south of France, and that is now my icebreaker when I meet people.
That's where Mike August pissed in a Gatorade bottle.
There are two bathrooms on that plane.
We won't relive that, but I will say that the biggest selling point of that private jet was 2 bathrooms.
Yeah.
Because when you are flying in an airplane that has 2 bathrooms, a private airplane that has 2 bathrooms, that means it is a big and luxurious plane.
Don't feel bad about going number 2.
Mike, was in the middle of 2 bathrooms, missed them both, filled up. But here's the reason I'm secretly jealous of Mike August. It's not that he peed in the Gatorade bottle and didn't hit the 2 bathrooms. And now he has an excuse. Someone was sleeping in the back, and our good-looking stewardess lady was sleeping in the front. He didn't want to roust anybody. But I would argue that she's, if you got to ask her to move her legs so you can get to the head. That's part of her gig.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he peed in the bottle. It was that as we're all packing up and cleaning up and getting off the plane, he left it.
Do you remember where he left it?
In the armrest.
In the cup holder.
In the cup holder of the armrest. He put it in the cup. Now, I may have peed in the bottle. It may have been 4 a.m. and we may have been over Strudeldorf and everyone was asleep on the plane. And then I got up and realized that Norm was sleeping in the back. I didn't want to go back there. And that our hottie flight attendant was asleep in the front with her feet in front of the bathroom door. I may have looked at both of them and went, shit, I got pissed. I may have pissed in a Gatorade bottle. Yeah. I may have done that. Then I would have proceeded to drink it. Like a yogi.
Yeah.
Or Mexican prize fighter. Or I would have just put the lid on it tight and tucked it into my backpack or something. I wouldn't have put it in the cup holder for God and everyone to see. Yeah. And then I can't say that he wasn't going to throw it away. I can't say that he was done clearing out his personal space.
Yeah,
I picked up the bottle and went, I don't know what kind of Gatorade this is. And I gave it a whiff. That's how we found it. That's how I found it.
But you and Mike are a lot closer now.
I couldn't have been that casual about leaving the piss bottle on the $80 million plane.
And that's why we're jealous.
That's right.
Do you remember who we saw at the airport on our way out?
Oh, was it?
There's one other guy at the airport with our crew, and he was waiting for his plane too.
Was it an action star?
No. Well, maybe. He may have done it. It was Usher.
Oh, Usher.
Yeah, so it was all of us and Usher. And I remember being starstruck by Usher just sitting there because he was on his way to, he's part owner of the Cavs at the time. And it was like game 6 and of the finals. And I remember it was so funny. He came up to us and he's like, hey, I'm Usher. And, I'm looking at him like, yeah, we know you're Usher, dude. Mm-hmm. And then Norm Pattis' wife has her iPad out and she's having trouble logging on to the Wi-Fi. And Usher walks over to her and she's like, oh, yeah, just click settings. Now scroll up, find the Wi-Fi. You just want to enter this. And he's helping her log on the Wi-Fi. It's like the craziest thing
I was still reeling from jet lag and Mike's urine bottle.
All right, let's see here. Well, speaking of Mexican prize fighters and the World Cup, Canelo Alvarez. He is not a happy dude. So legendary player Lionel Messi, he right after they beat Mexico, there's a video of them celebrating in the locker room, and he's kind of just it looks like everyone's cheering, everyone's going nuts because they just won, and it looks like he's taking off his boots. His cleats, boots, right? Doss, is that what they call them? And
boots.
Yeah, and he's taking off his football boots, and as it pans, he kind of just nudges a jersey on the floor, and that happens to be a Mexican jersey from Team Mexico. So what happened was they did a jersey swap. Messi and somebody else. That's like the thing that everyone does these days,
I don't
right?
like all the hugging it out after the games.
What?
I don't like all the jersey swaps.
You don't like sportsmanship?
I don't like the prayer circle.
Oh,
I grew
come
up,
on.
man.
That's why I watch.
When I grew up watching the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers and Jack Splat and Jack Lambert and all the guys, they hated the other team. And the other team hated them, and they would never hang out and hug it out. There was a fierce rivalry, and it added a little flavor to the next time they got together. Like, they hated each other, and there would never be any hugging it out or jersey swaps or prayer circles.
I can't get enough of it. Like, basketball, if you're in the playoffs, you don't hug it out till the series is over, so you just walk straight to your locker rooms afterwards. And then football, you hug it out after the game. But baseball, they never hug it out. The opposing team is never congratulating the winning team. It's
like
always
that.
just the other team celebrating. But anyway, so it looks like he kicks the jersey, and here, let's watch it a little bit. So everybody's cheering, and then you'll see it pan over to Messi, who's sitting down, right? So there he is, sitting with his shirt off, and he just takes his boot off, and that was it. You just saw it. So
Here's the rule. If your team had won, Canelo, would you be upset about this? And my answer is probably not. So you're not allowed to factor in the win-loss into the behavior. You know what I'm saying? You're pissed off because Mexico lost. That's why you're pissed, and now you're on Messi. I'm going to call this a zero burger.
Let me read you some of these tweets because they're great. Because this is Canelo Alvarez. I mean, four-time champion of 4 different weight classes, 58 and 2, and he's tweeting, "Did you see Messi cleaning the floor with our shirt and flag? He better pray to God that I don't find him."
By the way, cleaning the floor, because if that were a microfiber rag and I paid him to clean the floor, I would be pissed if a guy just kicked it once and sat down.
Yeah.
I watched the tape. I literally couldn't see what he did.
Right. Well, I know, and I'm surprised that Canelo caught that. And he says, just like I respect Argentina, he has to respect Mexico. I'm not talking about the country as a whole, just about the bullshit that Messi pulled. So it's weird, but I think it's nothing too. I mean, but the weird thing is Messi isn't even saying anything, so maybe it really it's a nothing burger for him.
Canelo is doing a little Tecate tweeting.
We should check the timestamps.
Yeah, or Modelo. I'm trying to think of what I think he probably did both, but I
bet
think,
he's a Modelo guy.
I think he was putting away a few too many of the freebie Modelos he got for doing the spots, and was pretty pissed off about the loss and looking to take it out on somebody.
Yeah. And you know what's in the jersey swaps, the people who switch their shoes, they give each other their shoes, their play shoes, or like that's something that like players will give to people in the crowd, like it's a keepsake. What do you do with that?
Well, I don't want to be slippery slope guy, but first you're hugging it out. Then you're swapping jerseys.
Yeah.
Then you're swapping shoes. The next thing you know, the jock's coming off. And the next thing you know, you're swapping bodily fluids, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it.
That's true. That's a slippery slope.
In 4 to 7 years, they're just going to be butt fucking on that field. My son is going to have to watch them enter each other midfield, because that's where this is going.
I love sportsmanship.
It's not stopping at the shoes.
No. All right. Well, speaking of unsportsmanlike conduct, someone who's really well known for it was Terrel Owens. Remember, like when he would run out to midfield in the middle of the Dallas Star,
on the Star,
and then he got leveled.
Yes.
So anyway, he was at CVS the other night, and a guy came up to him. It's like he's a Niners fan and just showing his appreciation. I mean, that must have been pretty cool seeing Terrell Owens in the toothpaste aisle. And then Terrell says the second guy, he started talking crap to the fan that Owens was talking to, and just like, hey, let's take this outside. And Terrell decided to get involved too. And so here's the clip of them outside of CVS where Terrell puts both fists up, which
squared up.
Yeah. So, and I'm surprised the other guy is not running away. He's actually dodging and going forward, but I think he just gets knocked out.
It takes his shirt off. Good.
Yeah.
Don't mess with people. Number one. Number two, don't mess with athletes, and not because they're athletes. I'll tell you why. At some point, these guys work with personal trainers, and the trainers show up at the beginning. They show up with those stretchy rubber band things, and then they show up with those pivoty push-up things.
The perfect push-ups.
The perfect push-up thing, and that's where it starts. But at a certain point, the client gets bored with the rubber bands and the whatever, and the guy will show up with the focus mitts. At a certain point, the personal training, it does it with chicks a lot too.
Yeah.
Gets into the boxing. They'll throw it up on the internet and stuff like that. Because beating somebody up is kind of the ultimate expression of physicality.
Yeah, of all your hard work.
Right. And these guys are athletes, and there's no good size, really world-class athlete that doesn't think to themselves, I think I could box a little bit. Like, I think I could take one of those guys on. It used to happen all the time. Guys, Lyle Alzado would fight Muhammad Ali in like a charity match or something, but he was trying, you know. And so at some point, the personal trainer starts getting the focus pads out and they start working the hands a little bit. And they just some of it is ego and some of it is just like the personal trainer trying for things not to get stale. Yeah. And the client likes putting the gloves on and hitting the focus pads and doing that kind of stuff. So I'll guarantee you that at some point in Terrell Owens' career, he worked with his guy who got the focus gloves out, and they did a little hand work.
He did look kind of enthusiastic
Those guys
about
can use their hands a little bit, and so they always have that in their hip pocket. So don't fuck with them, not only because they're world-class athletes, but because they have trained with some handsy stuff. And the bro with the shirt off out in the parking lot, I don't think he's had as much personal training time as T.O.
Why are you taking the shirt off too? It's not a big layer of protection, but it is a layer. I would keep it on.
For guys who scrap over nothing at a CVS at 11:30 at night in Compton, that shirt is kind of a big ticket item.
They're protecting the shirt.
Well, if you think about it, the black eye's going to heal. The tear in the shirt, that never goes away.
Yeah.
And I used to have that a lot, like back in the day when people were poor and they had just one or two decent shirts. If you were going to help someone work on their car or something, you take your shirt off because it's going to get fucked up. This is like pre-Old Navy where everything was free. Dudes who are poor, they got a handful of decent shirts, and they don't want to fuck them up.
Yeah, I didn't think about that aspect.
You must.
I know, I must. Can we do one more?
Yeah.
Here, let's. Will Smith. So he's been kind of making the rounds on his.
Now I would watch him and Terrell go at it.
Oh yeah,
that would be good.
He looked good in Ali, right?
Yeah,
thought he was great in that. Paul Rodriguez didn't. All right. Well, anyway, so Will Smith, he's done some interviews, and obviously he's now most known for that Oscar slap last or this year, I guess. And he has a new movie coming out, which they've kind of thinking about pushing. It's just clouded by this whole slap. It's called Emancipation. It looks really good.
I don't get the clouded by thing.
You know?
No, not.
You separate the artist from the art kind of thing.
Well, first off, he didn't light a nunnery on fire. He slapped a rich guy. Not with a closed fist. But he gave him a good one. But Chris Rock is no worse for wear. He's fine. He didn't lose hearing in his left ear or something like that. So he's fine. Actors traditionally have done, a lot of hard living, hard loving, womanizing, DUIs, rehab, domestic violence, Me Too, crossing the line, and all. They have a rich history of that, and then we watch them on the screen.
Yeah.
I don't think there needs to be that much bleed over.
It's just when I hear the name Will Smith now, that's all I could think of.
I mean, look at Christoph Waltz. He's an animal.
He really needs to control
But I can still enjoy his work.
That's true.
I can separate the man.
I know, like there were, I play music at bars and stuff, and I do a lot of covers. Sometimes the ones that you ask me to, but I used to play R. Kelly covers, Michael Jackson covers, and there were times when I would start it and I would get weird looks, like especially in the heat of all the stuff going on.
Yeah, I don't, especially a film. If it's a good film, it's a good film.
Let's watch a little bit of it.
All right.
This is Emancipation.
The Lord is with us.
Look at Will.
Who's he playing?
He's playing a slave named Peter, or Whipped Peter is his nickname. Whipped Peter.
I will come back to you.
Based on a true story.
They put him in a cart cage.
It looks epic.
Yeah.
You walk the earth because I let you. I'm your God.
I think we should give him the Academy Award and let Chris Rock slap him. And then we're just even.
Chris holds the statue and he cannot get it.
Let's get to Baton Rouge.
Until he gets the slap.
And make it even, yeah.
Lincoln's army is dead.
So anyway, this it's great. It looks great. I mean, premieres in theaters December 2nd. It's going to also stream on Apple TV. So yeah, everyone's talking about pushing it. And here's what Will had to say about everybody talking about the slap versus if they can enjoy the movie.
I completely understand that. If someone is not ready, I would absolutely respect that and allow them their space to not be ready. My deepest concern is my team. Antoine has done what I think is the greatest work of his entire career.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's not ready? I don't get it. And then all actors do is, you could put together a 7-hour reel of Will Smith fighting in movies, like throwing punches and beating the shit out of people.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
What if Peter slaps somebody and then it takes you out of the movie? Or what if Alec Baldwin shoots somebody in a movie? Like it's going to take you out. So they're just these things in real life that actually control how you're going to appreciate the film.
But if you really want to distill it down to that, you bought your tickets online 3 days in advance. You drove to the theater. You got into an argument at the concession stand about Raisinets versus Goobers. You wanted to know if they served alcohol. You found your seat, and then you watched 700 trailers. You're not in the movie.
Don't ruin it for me.
Do you know what I'm saying? And then at the end, they have the outtake reel. They probably don't do that in slave movies.
I don't think there's a blooper reel at during the credits.
Well, Hal Needham would do that.
This one.
For Smoking the Bandit.
Oh, I grew up watching Jackie Chan movies. He did that in all his
I would
movies.
love a really heavy scene, like in the outtake reel by the slave owner and the slave, and then at some point a fly lands on someone's head and they start laughing and yell cut.
Yeah, cell phone rings.
All right, we got Kilmeade is in
on.
the waiting room, but good job, Max Zapata.
You too.
All right, let me hit Good Ranchers here. It's the holidays, and the waists are getting bigger and the wallets are getting smaller. Good Ranchers wants to help you save this season and not turn it into a season of spending. Get a subscription to Good Ranchers during their Black Friday special. Beef prices are going to go up 20%, many say, in 2023. But use my code Adam, and you get zero meat inflation all year long. Every subscriber locks in their price for the life of the subscription. Plus, you get the Black Friday offer, and you do it right now. 2 free 12-ounce Black Angus New York strip steaks with any order. Use the code Adam. Head to goodranchers.com/Adam to find the perfect box for you, and they'll curate a selection of America's best meat and seafood. Good high-grade protein, just what you need. It's Good Ranchers, right, Dawson?
Give the gift of zero inflation, America's best meat, to yourself or someone else this season. Good Ranchers' award-winning service and quality are why they have over 7,000 five-star reviews. Remember to visit goodranchers.com/Adam and use code Adam at checkout to grab the Black Friday special, their best offer of the year. 2 free Black Angus steaks. So don't have a normal Black Friday this year. Have yourself a Black Angus Friday. Good Ranchers, American meat delivered.